You're listening to Battling Opioids, the podcast. Battling Opioids, the podcast, now on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcast, TuneIn, Amazon, YouTube, and now radio.com.
In a rural community, if you're seeking treatment for an addiction problem, one of the biggest barriers is simply locating a provider who can help you and then getting to the provider.
In northeastern Pennsylvania, there's only a handful of licensed step-down services.
Just for example, in Susquehanna County, there are 2 sites where there's addiction recovery counseling available, one in Montrose and one in Susquehanna. But if you live any place else in that county and you want help for that problem, you've got a lot of traveling to do. I know that someone had wanted to open an addiction recovery center in Susquehanna prior to the hospital opening one, and they ran into some pushback from the local community.
There is that not in my backyard mentality. I don't want those type of people coming into my backyard. Those individuals are already here in your community. They're just untreated.
Addicts are a hugely diverse group of people. Upper class, lower class, doesn't make a big difference.
In northeastern Pennsylvania, it wasn't taking place in bedroom communities. Well, now all of a sudden it did.
And a lot of patients are started on prescription medications, but not by a doctor. They go to a party and somebody's got a bottle of prescription medications and they're passing them out. And that's how a lot of people get started.
It's not a walk-away drug. Your body becomes physically dependent on those medications.
It's not a question of getting high anymore. This is a question of just feeling normal. Up at Kasson Hospital, we've partnered with the local drug and alcohol counseling program, which is called Trehab. This guy comes into the emergency room, he's had an overdose. And in the old days, the ER doctor, which might be me, would get him through his overdose, and we'd give him some recovery material, call these people in the morning, and about 40% of those people might actually make the phone call the next morning and try to get some recovery. A warm handoff is a relatively new term. That same person comes in, and as soon as they're identified as someone has an addiction issue, they pick up the phone and call the certified recovery specialist. And those people show up, start the counseling immediately. If medication is needed, you provide the medication then. So instead of hoping they'll call tomorrow and you get them in, you get in and you get started right away. You get about an 80% response rate instead of a 40% response rate.
Even when you have treatment services available across the street, the engagement level has a lot to do with the individual's willingness to want to get help.
If you're thinking about pursuing recovery and you haven't made that step yet, call one of the counseling programs. Get in, get evaluated. You may find out that it's something you want to do that very day, or you may decide, I'm going to keep talking to them, it sounds good. Maybe I'll turn around in a week or a month. If you don't pick up the phone and call a counselor, get in and see a counselor, then the next time you get in to see someone is going to be when you overdose, when you go to jail, when your family says you can't come home anymore.
You don't realize how great it is when you're able to be the person you're supposed to be.
If you have enough motivation to even call a counselor, they can usually help you out.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.